Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Today, the topic of presentation is the Egyptians' culture and the identity of the pharaoh. As we know that we are going to start the series on Musa alayhi salam. So before starting the journey of Musa alayhi salam, we will see what kind of Egypt at that time, how to what kind of people those whom Musa alayhi salam has addressed, and what kind of identity the pharaoh has. So let's start from the geographical location of the Egypt at that time. So Egypt was historically divided into two regions, the Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. And because of the geography and natural environment, the Nile River flows from south to north, created a long and narrow strip of fertile land in an otherwise a desert landscape. So this geography naturally separated Egypt into the Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. And this division was not due to a conflict, but due to a natural geographic boundary. But as there are boundaries, so in the Upper Egypt and the Lower Egypt, the people have their own culture, their own political structures, their own religious development, and their own capitals, the deities and rulers. And eventually, in 3100 BCE, the two lands were unified under a single ruler, who often is called like the Scorpion King, and hence the beginning of and hence the dynastic Egypt started. Despite the unification, the symbolic division persisted in the titles, like the king of the Upper and Lower Egypt, and also the king of the Egypt usually use a double crown, representing that he's the king of the whole Egypt, like he's the king of the Upper and Lower Egypt as well. So this is something about the location of the Egypt. The Egyptians has a deeply polytheistic religion. They have the hundreds of gods and goddesses who shaped every aspect of daily life. Not only the daily lives, but the natural events and even the afterlife. The central deity was the Ra, who is the sun god and the creator of the world. The Osiris, he's the god of the dead and resurrection. The Isis is the goddess of magic and motherhood. The Horus is the sky god and the protector of the pharaoh. And other god is Anubis, who guided the souls in the afterlife. Then there is other god, the god of writing and wisdom. There is a god who is the protector of the homes of the Egyptians, and there is a goddess of the war and healing. The most important thing is that these gods were not just the abstract concepts, but they are the personal and the influential forces. Egyptians built the temples, they offered prayers, and also performed the festivals, the rituals in the honor of the believing in these gods. And and also they believed that by performing these rituals and these prayers, and in believing so, the god can maintain the order in the land, and hence all these things ensure the prosperity in their land. So there are the different kings in the history, but what's the important thing in the pharaoh? The main claim of the pharaoh was that he was a living god. The Egyptians believed that Pharaoh is not just a king, but he was a living god. And why they believe in these things? And they consider him that he's a mediator between humans and the gods. And we will discuss in the upcoming slide that how the Pharaoh is making sure that yes, he is a mediator between the humans and the gods. So the Egyptians believed that the Pharaoh was a living god. The reason for this is that the Egyptians believed that the Pharaoh was a living god because he was seen as a direct embodiment of the divine power. He presented himself that he is a mediator between the humans and the gods. this belief was rooted in the mythology, and this belief was reinforced by the state ideology. This was not just a like of an abstract idea that okay, this king is a living god, but they were practicing these things. And Pharaoh was deeply rooted this ideology in the Egyptians. According to the religion of the Egyptians, they think that the Pharaoh is a falcon-headed god, and that's why he remained alive. And upon death, he became one of the star. And the name of the constellation that Pharaoh joined was the Osiris. And hence he became even a god after life. And so he continued a divine cycle even after his life. And also he maintained a cosmic order even after his death. So Pharaoh was not merely a ruler, but he was a sacred figure, and he was responsible for maintaining the math. Math was a specific, we can say, a term in the Egyptians' religion, and this term represents that the pharaoh will be responsible for the maintaining the truth, establishing the justice, and maintaining the cosmic balance in the Egypt. They have a very strong belief in maintaining the order, in maintaining the balance, because they believe that this balance, the god who is maintaining the cosmic balance, can maintain an order in the Egypt. We will discuss its reason in the upcoming slides. And these people will perform the rituals and offerings and temple buildings for for uh, so that they can please their god, so that they can please their god. And so that and the pharaoh was not only uh, pharaoh was imposing this belief system through the military leadership. He was thought to uphold the order on the behalf of the god. The pharaoh claimed that he is maintaining the order on the behalf of the god, and all these things that he claimed that I am the one who who is establishing the justice. I am the one who is responsible to have a balance in the cosmos. So this belief system legitimized the divine status of the pharaoh. So that's why he claimed that I am the living god, and I am a mediator between the humans and the gods. Also, the titles that the pharaoh used for him was that he was the son of Ra, means he was the son of the god. So, and he claimed that he's the lord of the two lands, means he's the lord of the whole Egypt. So these such kind of titles further confirm that yes, he's a kind of living god. The ancient Egyptians have the polytheistic religion, and so they have the hundreds of gods for everything, and these gods were not just the abstract concepts, but they are the personal and the influential forces. Also, the Egyptians built the temples, they offered prayers, and they have the festivals for these gods. They offered prayers in the honor of all these kings. Why they perform all these things? Because they want to make sure that the god will be pleased with them, so that the god can maintain the order in their land, and hence they can have a prosperity in the land. So there are different kings we can see in the history, but what was specific about the pharaoh? The Egyptians believed that pharaoh was a living god. And why they believed why they have such kind of belief, we will discuss it. And also they think that the pharaoh was a mediator between the humans and the god. It was not just an abstract idea, but they were performing these things. They were performing the rituals, and these things are deeply rooted in the Egyptians, because the pharaoh was performing such some specific things so that the people can have these beliefs very deeply rooted in them. So Egyptians believed that the pharaoh was a living god because He was seen as a direct embodiment of the divine power. He say that he is a mediator between the humans and the gods. And this belief was rooted in the mythology, and this was reinforced by the state ideology. So, according to the Egyptian religion, the pharaoh was the falcon-headed god of kingship. So he will remain alive. And upon death, he became he became the part of a star constellation called Osiris. So he is also a god after life. So he is continuing a divine cycle even after his death. So he is connecting, thus the people used to connect his earthly rule to the cosmic order, that he is also remain alive after his death. And they were performing these things so that so that they make sure that the pharaoh will remain alive even after his death. So he was not just a ruler, but he was a sacred figure who is responsible for maintaining the order. The term that the Egyptians used for this terminology was math, that the pharaoh is responsible for maintaining the math. So the math means the principle of truth, justice, and the cosmic balance. And through the rituals and offerings and temple building and military leadership, the pharaoh upholds this order on the behalf of God. So he makes sure that he is performing everything on the behalf of God. So this kind of strategy legitimize his divine authority on the land, his divine status on the land. So, so he's unifying a state under a theocratic structure and an integrated political power with a religious duty. The title that Pharaoh used for him is that he's a son of Ra, means he's the son of God, and he is the lord of two lands, means he is the lord of the upper and the lower Egypt. Also, these such kind of titles further affirmed his sacred status. And the massive temple complexes and the statues that the people used to build depicted him in a godlike form. And all these things are reinforcing his divinity in the public memory and the spiritual practices, because the complex temples, and there is not like just one or two temples from the Egyptian architecture. We came to know that there are the massive temples that the people used to build, and they used to build those temples just to make sure that the people always have a strong memory in them that the pharaoh is a living god. So this fusion of myth, ritual, and kingship made the pharaoh not just a political figure, but the living vessel of divine will on earth. In the culture of the Egyptians, as we have already discussed, that they have the hundreds of the gods, and every for everything that they have in their life, they used to represent that thing with a god. For example, they have a god for the wisdom and writing. They have a god who protects their homes. Also, they have a sun god. They have a god of even magic. They have a god who makes the journey of the soul after life very easy. They have even a god who judges the soul. So in their culture represents that they have a very strong belief system on the hundreds of gods. So they people were the those people have the polytheistic religion, and their culture, their architecture, everything is showing clearly that they have hundreds of gods. Also, in their key practices, they are performing the geometry, the cosmology, and these things, they used to represent these things in their architecture. Because for the Egyptians, the architecture, the mythology, the astronomy, the cosmology, and the geometry even, these were not the separate disciplines, these are the part of a unified worldview. Also, the pyramid were not just the tombs, they were potentially the cosmic machines for them, because they have aligned those pyramids with the stars, and they use those pyramids for the spells. And these pyramids are the symbols because their construction is such kind, we will discuss at the and that how they have constructed their pyramids, that they can transform their king into the celestial being through these pyramids. I mean, this is their belief system, that they are actually making this king as a celestial being, and after the death this king will make sure that their land have a prosperity. So such kind of belief system these people have, and their culture clearly shows that, because in their culture the main thing is their architecture, and their architecture represents that everything that they have in their architecture is a representation of the cosmology, what they observed in the heavens they used to construct it. So the main thing is that they want to make sure that their king will rebirth after the death. And how those people were performing the cosmology, it is that the basically the term that use to represent the order is the math, and they make sure that they have a they have a truth in even in they have a kind of order, in they have a cosmic order. And Pharaoh was seen as an upholder of this term math, and this term is actually the opposite of the chaos, that the Pharaoh is the one who performed the rituals, who have a military leadership to reinforce this order in the land. So he is maintaining a perfect balance in the land. Also, the Egyptians believe that there is a sky goddess, because they believe that the daily life cycle is also they relate the daily life cycle with some kind of gods. They believe that there is a sky goddess that is arched over the earth god, and these two gods are separated by the air god. And each night the sky goddess swallowed the sun god, and this gave birth to a new sun each dawn. So everything, this daily life cycle is just an example that how they are relating the gods with each and everything in their even in their daily lives. From their architecture to the daily life cycle, they have a god for everything, and they are relating everything with that god. And Pharaoh is the one who makes sure that everything is performing okay on the behalf of the god. Also, a very interesting thing about the belief system of the Egyptians is their underworld journey. Egyptians believed an afterlife journey through an underworld that is full of gates and challenges, and there is a god who is judging the soul, and uh, who is responsible for a perfect journey for the soul. So these are the key practices of the Egyptians. A very interesting thing about the Egyptians is that uh, everything that they used to build in their architecture is that whatever they observe in the sky, they 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 used to build it on the land, because they see that this world, they used to consider that this world is actually a reflection of the above world. They used to see, or we can say that they used to see the sky as a reflection of this earth. So a very interesting thing about which the ancient Egyptians used to think that they just like the Nile, because they also have a god for the Nile. They used to worship the Nile because they have a belief system that this Nile is responsible for our prosperity. So, because they are seeing, they are considering that just like everything that we have in the sky, we have that thing on the earth. So they see that they used to think that just like a sky, just like a Nile River we have here on the earth, there is also a reflection or this kind of the Nile that is in the sky. They used to observe the, of course, in the night they observed the Milky Way. We all know that the Milky Way is a glowing band that is across the night sky. But the Egyptians used to think that this Milky Way is a celestial Nile. They used to link this Milky Way with the Nile. So, and in the Book of the Dead and other funerary texts that we have read about the ancient Egyptians, they thought that the souls traveled uh, by the boat across a celestial river to reach the blessed fields. They used to call the paradises like the blessed fields. So for them, there is a paradise which they used to call the blessed fields, and they believe that the soul travel through this so-called sky Nile, which they are calling the Milky Way, the Sky Nile, and they believe that the soul traveled through this Sky Nile, and hence it reached it's the blessed fields, which is for them is the paradise. So this is I found it like how they are seeing everything as a reflection. For them, everything as a reflection, because their architecture, uh, most of the people have a deep research on the architecture. So what I have found, you can have an argument with it on it, that but what I have established is that everything that they used to build in the form of pyramids was what they have observed in the skies. So they was considering as this life as a reflection of the sky, because they have a very perfection in their architecture, and we will be discussing in the upcoming slide that uh, they why they were so conscious about a perfection in their architecture. So their belief in the Nile in the sky wasn't just a poetic, because we have seen that they see that it was a reflection of the Egyptians' entire religious and cosmic worldview. So now we will see something about the architecture, and we all know that the Egyptians have a uh, very accurate precision in their architecture. So their circles that they use, their architecture expresses the practice of the geometry, what they have observed in the heavens, and by embedding the right angles and the sacred shapes into their constructions, the Egyptians weren't just the building, but they were ritually recreating the cosmos. Also, for them, the temple was a miniature universe, and the pyramids was both a tomb and a stairway to the stars. Because in the pyramid, they have the staircase, they have a shaft, and they were using that staircase so that the king will reach to the sky. Their geometry became a bridge between the mortal world and the eternal, and the perfect circles that they have in their architecture. These circles represents that there is an eternal life with no end. They know that the life will never end. So the perfect circles that we usually see in the pyramids, they represents that the life has no end. The right angles that the perfect right angles shows that the human alignment with the divine order. They were very conscious that everything should be very precise with zero error, because they were performing these things in the name of the rituals so that the god will be pleased with them. So the right angles that they have in their architecture, it's showing that we humans are perfectly aligned with the divine order. And the geometric precision shows the order, the manifestation of the math. Again, the as I've told that what is math. So and also they built the spiritual stairways so that the soul of the pharaoh would join the gods among the stars. So this way they make sure that the pharaoh will always remain a living king. And they didn't compromise any kind of precision, because any kind of mistake will lead the soul to a wrong place, and hence soul will not become the part of this whole universe. So this is the reason why they have a very perfect they have zero error in their constructions. Also, the geometry and architecture alignment in the ancient Egyptians were the powerful expressions of their worldview, that every measurement and angle was a sacred act. Means they were performing that we need an order, we need a balance, we need a perfection. So they are replicating the order of the universe. They were replicating the order of the universe, and because they know that if we have a perfect order in our constructions, then the soul will be able to travel from this world to the next, to the skies, which for them is the next world, and hence the soul will become a the soul will be able to join the stars. And so they believe that the life, there is an eternal life, the life has no end. So this is something about their architecture, their cosmology, and their belief system. Anyone who can add something up till here? Any questions? So because after that, now we are going to discuss that how the Pharaoh ensures that the people will perform everything, because it's not an easy thing.
Can
I
I,
thought that it's very. Yes, please go on.
Mr. Yeah, I'm just wanted to know these all the attributes about the Egyptians you're telling is for the gods only. Like you said, they made the stairs for the, to link between the two worlds. And it is just for the pharaoh only. What if they, what they tell to their common man who is worshipping the, the
Mhm.
pharaoh? So how
Yes,
their soul will travel? Is anything you know about it?
yes. Now I'm going to discuss that what the Pharaoh is telling to the people, that
Okay.
they became fool, because all
Oh,
these
right.
things are the fool.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Yes,
know,
because this
we
is,
all know,
yeah,
because these are the fool things, because
yeah.
they are the people. Pharaoh makes sure that the people will be conscious about these things, because he is making fool his people. But what kind
Mhm.
of strategy he is using, that the people are very conscious about these fool things?
Okay, okay,
Because
sister.
it's not an easy thing that you are every time you're so conscious that whatever you have seen in the sky, you are ready to, construct, and you are very conscious that our king will remain alive. How? It's very difficult thing that you are making sure that the king should remain alive. He can't dead. And he is the one who is a mediator between the gods and us. He is performing everything on the behalf of the god. So now, uh, from here, I'm going to start that, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the disbelievers all over the Quran. But why Allah has mentioned the Pharaoh again and again in the Quran? He's just like, I thought that he's just like a right wing of the Satan, because he's making the people so fool. The people are performing these things. So, what kind of strategies the Pharaoh is using? A very strong, a very beautiful representation, even a authentic representation of the acts of the Pharaoh, has described in the Quran in Surah Al-Qasas, that inna fir'auna ala fil ardi wa ja'ala ahlaha shi'an yastadifu ta'ifatan minhum yuzabbihu abnahum wa yastahyi nisa'ahum innahu kana min al-mufsidin. So this ayah has the different parts. So first we will discuss the part inna fir'auna ala fil ardi. Indeed, Pharaoh exalted himself in the land. He is making himself Allah in the land. Because also we know that he has a claim that وَقَالَ أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. He said that I am the most high. Also he has a claim that I am the Lord of the Egypt. So why? What kind of strategies? This ayah is explaining that strategy. So first we will look at the claim of the Pharaoh, that the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us here, that inna fir'auna ala fil ardi. So this word ala means this word ala means that the exalting of the Pharaoh was both literal and moral. As we discussed earlier, that uh, the Pharaoh makes sure that everything that he's telling is not just an idea. It's a belief system. So he's using his own strategies. He's making sure that the people will have a deep root in people will have a very strong belief. Now we will see that what the Quran is describing about him. This is what I have found from the from the history part, but I want to connect it that okay, this is the kind of the strategy that he is using. So the word Allah means that he was exalting both literal and moral. So the literal exalting means that he has a political dominance, and the moral exalting means that he making sure that he has a corruption in the land, and he was very arrogant. But how he was so powerfully presenting everything that people have a belief system that yes, you are a god. So one strategy that we have discussed was the architecture, and also he has a military, he has a proper military. He has a military leadership, not just like, okay, do it, so people are ready to do it. We'll see that in this ayah that وَجَعَلَ أَهْلَهَا شِيَعًا, that he has a, divided his people. The word Shi'an means the fractions. He had made his people into sects. So there are different kinds of sects in the Egypt. There are different kinds of groups in the Egypt. So the first group is the group who was very loyal to Pharaoh. And this group supports him in whatever he wants and obey him. Whatever he was telling them, without questioning him, they were just ready to obey him. And even none of them has the power to oppose him. They were just like the people, okay, whatever you're telling, okay, that's fine. We're ready to do it. You are just unquestionable because you are so powerful. Okay, we are even unable to think that whatever you are telling us, let us think about it. No, okay, whatever you're telling us, we are ready to obey it. Another kind of group was the oppressed group. And these were the people of Banu Israel. These were the people who actually had a power because they were the people who were from the lineage of the prophets. They were the intelligent people. But why these people were deliberatingly or unknowingly support a system that even harming them? They know that this is a wrong system, but they are following this system because the Pharaoh was imposing a psychological fear in them. And there is an ayah in the Quran that will explain that how the Pharaoh was making sure that I am, I, I am, I am, I am, I am, I have a success. I'm successful in creating this psychological fear in the people. So because the Pharaoh has, okay, the Pharaoh has a psychological fear in the people. Pharaoh has a military leadership, so that because the word Allah, as I've told, that Allah means that he has a political empowerment on the people as well. So he has the armies. Apart from the armies, he has the architecture, and apart from these two things, he is imposing the psychological fear in the people. There is an ayah in the Quran that will explain that how he's imposing the psychological fear in the people. But now we are discussing that Shia and how many kinds of groups he has. So the first group is a group who is very loyal to Pharaoh. The second group is the oppressed group. And these were the Banu Israel. And the third kind of people were the people that who were serving the other people, or they were the people who were served by other people. So he's making sure that he's a kind of hierarchy in the land among the people. So this way of grouping has caused even the enmity among the people, because even people are not just supposed to serve the king, but the people have also to serve the other people. So this kind of fractions, this kind of grouping has made very easier for the pharaoh to impose his divinity in the land. So just imagine that the pharaoh, because pharaoh was in a position that he was practicing the tyranny in the land. Just just I was thinking that okay, the pharaoh had a power on the Egypt, so he's standing in the balconies, our the millions of the armies who are just ready to act whatever the pharaoh is telling them. So these were his strategies that he were using. Am I audible? So these were the strategies that the Pharaoh were using so that he can control the people. So let's move on to the other part of the ayah. And this part is that we have discussed the first two parts, and the other part is the يستضعف طائفة منهم إن فرعون علا في الأرض وجعل أهلها شيعا يستضعف طائفة منهم. Now this word يستضعف طائفة منهم has an other strategy that he was using. The word طائفة means a group that is a special kind of identity. So Pharaoh was higher in the land because he said that because he had created a hierarchy in the land, and all the residents of the Egypt has been classified into different classes, and out of all the classes he has selected the Banu Israel for oppression. Because the word Taifatam means a group that has some kind of distinctions from the rest of the population in the identity and also in the treatment and in the role. Because we see that the Pharaoh was treating those people very differently because of their identity. Yastadifu means he's oppressing them. He's oppressing a particular class of the society, and that class has a very special identity. And he is treating those people very specifically. So why he's treating these people very specifically? Does he has a kind of fear from those people? We'll see that what kind of fear he has from those people. And even Allah is mentioning that despite of having the massive temples, despite of having that architecture, despite of having the military, that kingship that is the military based even, why the Pharaoh, what kind of fear the Pharaoh have? This ayah is describing that kind of fear. And Allah is telling the Pharaoh that what kind of, no matter, do you have fear? I will show you, I will tell you that whenever my command comes, what I can do. So the Pharaoh is oppressing the Banu Israel. So يَسْتَضْعِفُ طَائِفَةً مِّنْهُمْ. Among all the sects to whom the Pharaoh targeted was the Banu Israel. And he weakens them. Why he's making sure that he has weakened those peoples? Because he want to use them. He want to show the rest of the society that what I can do. I mean, Allah is mentioning the Pharaoh because whenever we think about the Pharaoh, we think that Allah has mentioned the Pharaoh so that we can compare other rulers with the Pharaoh. But hold on, don't we need to compare the strategies of the Pharaoh with our strategies that we need to make? Because the Pharaoh is imposing a psychological fear. He's making people weak. And this is a strategy most of us is using in our daily lives. We make people to feel weak. We make people to feel less intelligent. Even they are intelligent. The Banu Israel, they are the children of the prophets. And Pharaoh makes sure that he has selected a class from the society who is from the children of the prophets, and he knows it. He know it because they know that they have the Yusuf alayhi salam among them. And Yusuf alayhi salam, he was famous for his wisdom. We all know that he has the very right interpretation of the dreams. And the king make him the khazain because of his knowledge. So the Pharaoh knows that these people has the knowledge. Also, we know that Ibrahim alayhi salam has a suhuf from the Quran. We know that suhuf Ibrahim wa Musa. So Ibrahim alayhi salam has a suhuf, and so he has trained these people on this on the divine knowledge. So what happened with these people? that now they are so weak that the Pharaoh is making foolish to them. The Pharaoh is presenting everything foolish and they are accepting it. And not only just making the foolish, يُذَبِّحُ أَبْنَاهُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيِي نِسَاءَهُم. He is killing their sons in front of them, and he's making sure that the woman will alive, slaughtering their sons and keeping their females alive. إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الْمُفْسِدِينَ. Indeed, he was of the corruptors. So from here, I want to share the other ayahs of the Quran. That okay, the Pharaoh has the political power. The Pharaoh is imposing the psychological fear among the people. The Pharaoh has his own strategy so that he can rule on the people. He has divided the whole society. But what the Quran is telling us is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling that وَإِذْ نَجَّيْنَاكُم مِّنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ يُذَبِّحُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ عَظِيمٌ. No matter what kind of power the Pharaoh have, but this is actually a great trial for the Banu Israel. That is Bala'um min Rabbikum Azim. And Allah has mentioned it in the other parts, in other verses, in the other verses of the Quran as well. In Surah Al-Araf, again, Allah is explaining, it has mentioned that وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ عَظِيمٌ, that they are killing you, but this is a great trial from the Allah who is Azim. And in Surah Ibrahim, again, Allah is telling that Allah has وإذ نجيناكم إذ أنجاكم من آل فرعون يسومونكم سوء العذاب ويذبحون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم. That this slaughtering of the sons and keeping the women alive is a trial from the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ عَظِيمٌ. And Allah is explaining that He is Azim. So there is a reason. Okay, so I would just like to share this thing because I like it. That it's a very beautiful point that no matter what kind of claim the Pharaoh have, what kind of power he have, but the Azim is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What kind of strategies he is using? Okay, he is killing the children of Israel and he's keeping the women alive, but it is a trial, a great trial from the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And from here, we have a complete presentation on it that what Banu Israel had done, that they are under this great trial. We have one of the sisters a complete presentation on this topic. But now as we are discussing the identity of the Pharaoh, so this ayah we will discuss that why the Pharaoh is slaughtering the sons and keeping the women alive. So there is a reason behind it that he is slaughtering their sons and keeping the women alive. So one of the explanation for this is that the Pharaoh saw a dream, and in his dream he saw that a fire came from the Jerusalem and encompassed the Egypt, burning the corpse, but not the children of Israel. So he asked about his dream from the different people who can tell the interpretation of the dream. So a man explained that. So one of the men explained that a man will emerge from this country, from the children of Israel, and he will came and he will destroy the Egypt, and only the people of the Israel will be saved. Also, the Pharaoh has heard that there will come prophets. There will be a prophet among the children of the Israel who will be a cause for its destruction. There is another interpretation for that why the Pharaoh was killing the boys of the Banu Israel is that people used to tell him that these people have a glad tiding for a prophet. So that's why he used to slaughter the children of the Israel and he's keeping the women alive. But apart from this was a strategy for the Pharaoh. This was a strategy so that he can make the people psychologically weak. From the history, we know that the nations invaded, the people get invaded. They have some kind of ruler on them, but the people used to fight back. the people fight back, because the people do not take the slaughtering of their children very light. Even if they have a bottle in their hand, or they have a kind of rock in their hand, but they used to fight back. But what has happened with these people, that they are not fighting back against the armies of the Pharaoh, and they're just crying. I don't know, Muslims were crying and seeing that all children are children are literally slaughtering in the Palestine, and we're just crying. So it's just a thoughtful question. When I was reading this ayah, that they were not fighting back to the Pharaoh. So they have done something. As I told you, that there is a complete presentation when we will discussing on the condition of the Banu Israel. So he's slaughtering the sons of Banu Israel and keeping their women alive. Also, the keeping women alive is an act that through which is a kind of act through which you can make people feel weak. From the psychological and emotional harm to the social isolation, from the spiritual damage to shame as a weapon, keeping women alive and making them slaves is absolutely a big trial. Cutting women from their communities and keeping them as your property and using them as a tool of shame. This was the strategy of the Pharaoh, through which he is making Banu Israel as a life of a trial. That okay, through this strategy, because of the strategy of the Pharaoh, the Banu Israel are living a life of fitna, because he is using their women as a tool. He's using their sons as a tool. So this kind of emotional harm that Banu Israel were facing, this kind of weakness the Banu Israel was facing. And the main thing is that it was a test for the entire society, because the people used to live with these things. The entire society was living a life that, okay, it's a normal social event. If the Pharaoh is doing this thing, okay, it's a normal social event. He can do this. So Pharaoh was practicing the social injustice in the name of peace of land, because we have discussed in the first part of the presentation that Pharaoh is telling to his people that he makes sure that he has an order in the land. So he is killing these children and he is keeping the women alive so that he can maintain the justice in the land. So what's going on? That he is maintaining the social injustice in the name of the peace of the land, and he is doing these things. So another ayah of the Quran is telling another strategy, this strategy that the Pharaoh is using, that he is making the people weak. This ayah of the Quran, this in Surah Az-Zukhruf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, yes, this is the ayah, فَاسْتَخَفَّ قَوْمًا فَأَطَاعُوهُ. Sorry. Yes, this is the ayah, فَاسْتَخَفَّ قَوْمَهُ فَأَطَاعُوهُ إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا قَوْمًا فَاسِقِينَ. So he bluffed his people so that they obey him. Indeed, they were themselves a people defiantly disobedient of Allah. So the first takhaffa is the word, means he makes his people feel weak. People feel weak. So when someone becomes khafif, it's very easy to step on him. So fundamentally, you are making someone so weak that he can provide convenience to you. Just like the horse has a hoof in his feet. Why the horse has a hoof in his feet? So that he can provide convenience to his owner. So this word that has used in the Quran, it has explaining that the Pharaoh is making people feel weak. Even they are not weak, but he's making sure that the people will feel weak. They feel less intelligent. This word, fastakhaffa, has a meaning that the people feel weak, because the kind of the strategies, the constructions, the maintenance of the order, the military, He has the power, no doubt. He has the power. But he is using all the strategies so that the people will feel weak. And the strategy that he is using for the Banu Israel is that he is killing their boys and he is keeping their women alive, so that they will live a life of a trial. They will live a life of the fitna, as we have seen in this verse, that he is exalting power. He has divided the people in the whole land, and the people who has a very unique identity, for them he's using a very specific strategy, that he's slaughtering their sons, keeping their women alive, so that they also feel weak. But in the next part of this ayah, we see that what Allah is telling, what is the plan of Allah. وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ أَئِمَّةً وَنَجْعَلَهُمُ الْوَارِثِينَ. And we wanted to confer favor upon those who were oppressed in the land and make them leaders and make them inheritors. وَنُمَكِّنَ لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَنُرِيَ فِرْعَوْنَ وَهَامَانَ وَجُنُودَهُمَا مِنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَحْذَرُونَ. And establish them in the land, and show Pharaoh and Haman and their soldiers through them that what they had feared. The Pharaoh, the Haman, their armies, they also had a kind of fear. So the fear that Pharaoh had, because the Haman, his armies were making sure that we are killing the boys of the Banu Israel, because they had a fear that they know that one day a man, we will have to face a man who will be among the Banu Israel, and he will destroy us. So before this, he will destroy us. We have to create a power structure in the society so that we can control everything. Also, the Pharaoh has what was his name? The Pharaoh has someone in his ministers. He has also someone appointed from the Banu Israel who is who has an eye on the Banu Israel, that who is making sure that these people will never become unite. They will not able to make a kind of strategy. And also he has an eye that, so that he can make sure that no one has a baby boy alive, or he's keeping an eye even on his people, and he knows that his people are in the great injustice. But the Pharaoh has appointed from among them a minister. So I found a very deep connection to the strategies of the Pharaoh, what's going on nowadays. So up till now, we have discussed the crimes of the Pharaoh against humanity. The Pharaoh has two kinds of crimes. One of the crimes that he had were against humanity, and the other crimes that he had were against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So before going into the crimes that the Pharaoh has against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's discuss this part of the ayah. وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ, that Allah wants to have a favor on the people who are weak, who are oppressed in the land. And Allah wants to make them leaders and the inheritors of the land. And on the top of that, Allah wants to show the Pharaoh, Haman, and his armies the thing about which they had a fear. So let's look. If someone have a question, he can ask, or otherwise I will move on to the next part.
I just
Yes.
want to add one thing, that the
Yes.
people were, how that Pharaoh was fooling the people, like with the
Mhm.
power and the religiously. So nowadays I can see so many are, what we call them, thieves. They are doing the same thing, exploiting and fooling the people, same like this. And the way he's doing the crimes, as you said, is a more which is happening nowadays. So there is no difference after like what has Pharaoh has done in that era. The same thing is repeating now. So I just wanted to add this.
Yes, Jazakallah, very beautiful point. So we have seen that the Pharaoh's claim was that he was a supreme god, and just want to add one more point that originally the Pharaohs were the multiple kingdoms. We know that it was not just a one person, but they were the different. This was the name. This was the title for the multiple kingdoms, and the Yusuf alayhi salam, as he has interpreted a dream that the 7 years will be the fine, and while after that there will be no water in the river and no crops, and the crops will die in the upcoming years. So the Yusuf alayhi salam in the kingdom, that the kingdom will have an advantage now, that in that kingdom they knew that there is a drought is coming. So the strategy of the Yusuf alayhi salam was that he basically had developed a canal to preserve the water over the next few years, so that he can use the water, and in that part the people will have the crops. And now only that empire in which the Yusuf alayhi salam were, only that empire know the strategy that how to save water when there will be a famine. So that was a very powerful economic strategy that the Yusuf alayhi salam has introduced in that land. But as he has introduced, but after that, the Pharaoh claimed that he gathered his people and he said that قال يا قوم أليس لي ملك مصر وهذه الأنهار تجري من تحتي أفلا تبصرون. So once, because in the past the Yusuf alayhi salam already has established a canal system, and that canal system even can save the water when there is a drought. But after him, now the Pharaoh is claiming in front of his people, he has gathered the people, and he's claiming that this Misr is mine, and this canal system is also mine, and he's inviting the people on Afala Tubsirun. So we will discuss that what kind of Pharaoh has, what kind of crimes the Pharaoh has against Allah. But let's see that this is the supreme plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he is doing massive crimes against the humanity, but he's doing the massive crimes against the humanity, but Allah has his own plan. And we see that Allah will say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent the Yusuf alayhi salam, and Allah has made these people the leaders and the inheritors in the land. So now let's see that what were the crimes of the Pharaoh against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So وَنَادَى فِرْعَوْنَ وَقَوْمِهِ قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ. There is a message there. Are the slides, you can see the slides or no? The slides are visible.
Not
Neelam,
to me.
okay,
No.
which, no. Okay, let me fix it. Can you see the different slides now or no?
No, sister.
No?
Mhm.
Okay, let me share again. Can you see the screen or just the slides are stuck? Can you see now? Please, someone
Yes,
responsible.
it's visible now.
Okay. Okay. So ونادى فرعون في قومه قال يا قوم أليس لي ملك مصر وهذه الأنهار تجري من تحتي أفلا تبصرون. The Pharaoh called out among his people. He said, "O my people, does not the kingdom of Egypt belong to me, and these rivers flowing beneath me? Then do you not see?" And فحشر فنادى, he gathered his people and he, he, he announced that فقال أنا ربكم الأعلى, and he gathered his people and called out and said, "I am your most exalted Lord." So the kind of claim that the Pharaoh has, the kind of claim that we see that the Pharaoh had in these ayahs, "I do not know any kind of God for you other than me." This is the Surah number 28, verse number 38. And his claim that "I'm your Lord, the Most High." So these claims that the Pharaoh made after these were the verses. Actually, these are the verses that these were the claims that he has announced, because he has gathered his people and now he's making these claims, and also he's inviting the people towards a very deep dive observation, that do you not see? Afala tubsirun, do you have basirat? I mean, it's a very positive term, and he is telling the people that use this term for me, and he's claiming these, and these were the claims that he made after fleeing from the snake. I mean, after he had an incident with the uh, that in which he gathered all the magicians from the Egypt, and all the magicians, they all have a kind of competition with the Musa alayhi salam, and that was a very tough time for the Pharaoh, because he has gathered all the magicians, and they say that we will be the by our Lord Pharaoh, we will be the winners. So these were the claims that the Pharaoh made after fleeing from the snake. So this showed the desperation of the Pharaoh. No rational person can believe that the Pharaoh has created the universe. And now the people have seen clearly a very clear sign that the Pharaoh's claim, the sorry, that whatever the Pharaoh has claimed, that is in vain. Because the magicians has also do the sajda to the Lord of Musa and Harun. So all the people now know that the Pharaoh's claim is wrong. But the Pharaoh was a materialistic person. He is denying the resurrection, and he claims that he has divine authorities. So his claim to the lordship means that he believed and only he had the right to command others. The kind of claim that he has in these ayahs is showing that he claimed that he has the right to command over others. Only he has the right who can order the people, and the people are just working like the robots for him. So he's saying that only I have the right to command. So he viewed the world as governed by power, because he has no belief on any divine authority. Though he's claiming that these ayahs are explaining that the Pharaoh himself was confused, because he denied he denied a Lord, because he's claiming that now I am the Lord. Before this, he was telling to the people that I am practicing everything on the behalf of the God. But now he's saying that Ana Rabbukumul Ala, I am the Lord. Now he's denying the Lord. This means that he viewed the world as governing by a power, because he is not ready to admit that there is a supreme deity who is making sure the whole order in the universe. He viewed that this world as working by a power, and only I have that power. And he's saying, I am your Lord, the Most High. I am the highest authority over you. This word Ana rabbukumul a'la. It means that I have the highest authority over you. No one else has the right to command over you. So again, he is saying that it's my right that I can command you people. So this is a political claim. This is not a theological claim. He is explaining everything politically, and his arrogance was not just the personal. It was a systematic denial of the divine authority. And not just the divine authority, but he was also denying the morality. He was denying the accountability. These ayahs are explaining the arrogance that the kind of arrogance that he have. And so these ayahs are explaining the kinds of the crime that the Pharaoh has against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he has the two kinds of crimes. This is an insight about the identity of the Pharaoh. This is an insight about the Egyptians' culture. There is lots of history about the Egyptians' culture, but I have found it the best to present because I was just afraid that we were just lost in discussing those massive architectures, because I was just wanted to make a strong link with what Allah is presenting in the Quran. So, any questions from the part that have been presented, or any points that you want to raise? Anyone?
So one thing I want to ask, you mentioned about the dream about of the Pharaoh that a fire is coming from Jerusalem and he's not harming the people of the Bani Israel. So when I came across, but I came across through the AI, I might be wrong. He said there is no such dream mentioned in the script, different books. So they believe that as the lineage of the Bani Israel from the prophethood, so they used to, most of the Israeli used to say that they have a prophecy. Prophet will come and will take it. He will take us from this side, this Egypt, and which was called Nijat Dahinda. So I'm not sure about the dream. Do you spot this from any, source?
Okay, with a very beautiful point. I am also in agreement about the point that the Pharaoh know that these were the people from the prophets, and now from their lineage there will be. He has basically heard that there will be a prophet, because they have a lineage of the prophets, and only those people in the Egypt who are the people of real wisdom. So what I have presented is that these are the different, we can say, the descriptions for the slaughtering of the Banu Israel. Also, there is a description that, and some soothsayer has told to the Pharaoh, but I am I do not agree with that, because that argument, as a Muslim, that argument basically denies, because only the prophets can tell the unseen things. And we cannot believe on the beliefs of the soothsayers, even if they are telling the truth. So this was, I have also found in a tafsir, but what the point to which I agree is that the Pharaoh knows that these people were from the lineage of the prophets, and now they will have a prophet one day, and they will stand among us, because he has a kind of fear. In this ayah, Allah is mentioning that he was also fearful. What kind of fear he has? This is the fear that he has, that one day these people will stand against me. One day they will have someone who is going to destroy my claim. So this is what I agree. Sister Neelam, can you
Definitely,
hear me?
yeah, and definitely, the pharaohs, the lineage of the pharaohs, they work with the prophet Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, and after that, they call the pharaoh, but they early kings, they were become the Muslims, and then they found out they are getting in numbers. The Muslims are like Bani Israel, they're getting in number. So they were fear of their power. So that's why again they suppress the Bani Israel, excuse me, and then
Yes.
took the power from the the Hazrat Yusuf Bani Israel, because at the time of the Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, the Bani Israel people, they were very in a good political positions, are like different positions, good positions. So they fear for themselves, and then they slowly they uh, took all the position back. The Egyptian took all the position backs and put them in a put them in a side, the Bani Israel, and suppress them. That's what I read in the book.
Yes, yes,
So
you're right. They have the political power at the time of the Yusuf alayhi salam. But after that, the Banu Israel were, by choice, they became slaves. Why I am using this
yes,
word? Because
yes,
they were not ready to make them to bring themselves in a position so that they must know that in what kind of world they are living. But
mm,
they have done nothing. They were just happy with, okay, we are getting the food. We
yeah,
have a land to live. Okay, that's fine
yeah,
for us. They
yes,
they they were from the prophets. They must have to make a kind of, we can say, the
um,
change the English, the
effort,
power yeah, the power structure, we can say, so
yeah,
that they can be on the safe side, because
yeah,
Allah has made them the leaders, and it is the quality of the leaders that they
mm,
they have to be in the position so that they can have a, we can say, a political claim or a kind of governance, because if
yeah,
you are not making the preparations, how you can be in that position?
yeah. They're
So
not
you're
maintaining
right
their
that
position at that time. Yes, right.
yes, they did not maintain their positions. Yusuf alayhi Islam
Yeah,
has left them in a very good condition. They
yes,
have
yes,
the political power, but later on they made the mistakes. That's
yeah.
why I'm saying that they were under a great trial because they have done something wrong. And yes, this is from my side. Anyone else who wants to contribute something in the discussion? Sister Misbah, would you like to add something?
Assalamu alaikum. Mashallah, you're doing really good. I can't think of anything, but yeah, mashallah. I think you have already explained. So
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Okay, guys, Jazakallah khair for your attendance. Thank you very much for joining. Sister Marian is there. Okay, thank you so much all for joining. Inshallah, see you on the next Sunday at the same time with a new topic, with another discussion session, inshallah. So subhanakallahumma, so let's end the meeting. Inshallah, see you on the next Sunday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.